All right, welcome to the Sports Mashup number 36. The date is November 3rd for this one. Lots to cover in this one. When I mean there's a lot to cover, there is a lot to cover. But we'll start in the NBA. Light news. The Suns declined the option on Jalen Smith, 2020 first-round pick, lottery pick, another wasted lottery pick by the Suns. You look at the Suns' drafting history over the last decade, and as a Suns fan myself, they looked terrible last night, but they woke up and played well and won against a banged-up Pelicans team, but that's besides the point. Their drafting history of the last decade is very like the definition of hit or miss. Like you look at some of the picks, Kendall Marshall, Dragon Bender, Alex Lynn. I mean, those are bad. And then they hit on Booker, they hit on Bridges, they hit on Cam Johnson. Ayton was the number one pick, so they better hit on that. But man,
Alex Lynn, that's the dude that played at Maryland, correct?
Yep, yeah, fourth overall pick, 20.
Man,
I don't know what year.
He was a high, but I mean, he's still playing, but I mean, to take him that high.
And he wasn't good in Phoenix at all. It just didn't work.
But I don't know. Did Jalen Smith play?
Maryland, yeah. So there's the irony, yeah.
Oh.
So take another Maryland center or power forward in the lottery, and it doesn't work, which I never understood this pick. Like, I thought getting a guy that could play the five is fine, but I feel like they really reached for him. I feel like he was a guy that was going to be in the 20s. Probably they took him well before that. I think they had the 11th or 12th pick. And Tyrese Halliburton was there. Be a perfect compliment to Chris Paul right now. But I don't know, whatever. It's just, I don't know. They just got to focus on re-signing DeAndre Ayton because they can't get a deal done with Ayton right now. And if they lose him, how many years does Chris Paul have left in Phoenix at this point? This could be, one or two more. And then after that, it's just, maybe become a disastrous organization again. So I hope I enjoyed last year as much as I could because it might get ugly. But on to the NFL. Before all hell broke loose, the Packers did beat the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football with pretty much a decimated roster. But Rasul Douglas with the interception, I don't know what the hell A.J. Green was doing. He didn't turn around. Douglas tips it off his own hand, then catches it, waves goodbye to the Arizona crowd. I mean, I think that the entire theme of this game was the Packers actually dominated time of possession for once because I feel like teams have done that to them a lot, and they finally do it. And Kyler Murray, he hasn't, he's a quarterback that makes a lot of mistakes, so he runs into a lot of sacks.
Yeah. He also gets out of a lot of them.
He does. And he's got insane arm talent. That's one reason why he's picked number one.
Last week we talked about J.J. Watt not doing much in the game before and whatever. And then was it the next day or later after we recorded that he was out for the season with a shoulder injury?
Yeah. So that's a big loss for them. I mean, he hasn't done that much, and I feel like it's inevitable that he's always going to get hurt mid-season and be out for the season. But
I don't know where having Chandler Jones back and then him and everything, and then they're like, "Oh, J.J. Watt's not for the season with his shoulder."
Elton Jenkins dominated Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones was very quiet in that game. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, we'll get to the Packers in a little bit and what they're going to have to do now. Sam Darnold gets hurt. The Panthers beat the Falcons 19-13. Ridley out once again. I think it's focusing on his mental health or something. That's why Ridley hasn't been playing. So a big loss for them. I mean, you look at what Matt Ryan's working with now. It's Cordero Patterson, Kyle Pitts, Mike Davis, Russell Gage. So Tajay Sharp. Not a lot to work with there. We'll see, though. I mean, they look bad, which is what they were supposed to look like. But Carolina's defense is still good. I think that's going to get them more wins.
Your fantasy is on Yahoo, correct?
Yeah.
What is Cordero Patterson listed at in your fantasy league?
Running back and wide receiver. I believe he's both.
Well, because now, before he was always a wide receiver in the NFL's fantasy. Now he's just a running back.
Yeah, I don't get that. He does both. I mean, and he's done both for a while.
Well, I know. Before when he became basically like a running back for the Bears, people were mad that they had to waste a receiver spot on him or use him in the flex. Now he's listed as a running back, so now you have to put him in a running back or a flex.
He's been very valuable. I picked him up like week 2 or 3, and he's gotten a ton of points.
It's like, really, what actually is he? Is he a running back? Is he a receiver?
I feel like there
Yeah,
should be like a
tight end.
hybrid. Call him a hybrid. You know, he can do everything. They need that in fantasy sports.
Well, I mean, that's what they had the flex position for, but
Well, I feel like they should, expand that even more, where you could put like Cordero Patterson in there for anything. Like as if he's a quarterback, right? Throw the quarterback in the flex. I mean, why not? Spice it up, have some fun. I mean, I don't know, whatever. He's done well for me, though. I'm very excited with that. The Bills beat the Dolphins 26-11. Boring game. There was a lot of boring games on Sunday. I don't want to take the NFL season for granted, but man, what a boring game. Josh Allen running everywhere. Tua, he looks better. He doesn't look that bad. He had a crucial fumble, but the Dolphins just don't have enough right now, I think. Big step back for them. Defense isn't as good.
their offensive line is not that great. They really need like a stud back.
Yep. We'll see. I mean, Tua's getting better. I feel like they're going to stick with him. They didn't trade for Watson. I don't think they're ever going to trade for Watson, honestly. I think at this point for Watson, it's either go back to the Texans next season or like the Panthers. I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen there.
If like the Dolphins could have made a deal before the deadline for like Marlon Mack, someone's just getting wasted in Indy right now.
But the Dolphins are 1-6, so I mean they don't really.
No,
have a chance either.
not saying he was going to do anything this year, but
yeah, there's going to be a running back market this offseason. I feel like there's guys that they could get.
Like Marlon's just sitting there behind
Jonathan
Taylor and Naheem Hines, just wasting as much as he carried them 2 years ago and the year before that. It's like, man, give the guy some touches.
Yeah. The battle for the number one pick heating up. Rams were destroying the Texans and gave up some garbage time points, 38-22. I thought the Lions were going to win. What an idiot I am. They lost 44-6 to the Eagles, and the Seahawks beat the Jaguars 31-7. So the battle for the number one pick heating up. The Eagles, if the Eagles want Russell Wilson next season, they could do it. They're going to have 3 picks likely in the top 15. If they want to move picks to get him, I don't know how much of a win now they are at this point because I feel like their cap situation is going to be pretty bad because they have a lot of big contracts on older players. Just saying, the Eagles are going to have a lot of picks, whether they get the number one pick or not. You look at teams like the Giants and Jets, who are 2-win teams with a lot of picks. The Giants have the Bears pick, so that could be significant if the Bears keep losing and the Giants keep losing as well. So there's going to be a lot of teams with some very premium picks early in drafts, which just shows you that teams are going for it. The Rams are a definition of that, going for it, and we'll get to that momentarily. Justin Fields showed flashes, but the Bears still lost 33-22 to the Niners. This was a Shanahan game. Shanahan had some really, really good calls down the stretch, but I thought Fields played well. I thought this was his best game. He rushed for over 100 yards.
Yeah, but still, he can't. Everything he does is dumps.
I feel like they're being very conservative for a 3-win team with a rookie quarterback. I feel like you just got to let him go out there and sling it. Their play calling sucks.
A-Rob some
bombs. Allen Robinson's not good. Not producing numbers, not doing anything. He sucks. Darnell Mooney is the best receiver there. It's true. I mean, look at Allen Robinson's numbers. They're practice squad receiver numbers. Just
because he gets dumps.
Well, make a play when you get the ball. I mean, he's the problem for him, and we'll move on for the Bears after this. The problem for Allen Robinson is that he's so used to going up against defenders, especially like defensive backs who can't tackle in practice. So he's not used to playing against defensive backs that can tackle. AKA the Bears defensive backs, especially Eddie Jackson, is the worst tackler I've ever seen. So just saying. The Steelers beat the Browns. Another boring game. A little more exciting just because of the rivalry and the teams that were playing. 15-10. Browns had Mayfield back. Nick Chubb, I think, was back, right? I don't even remember. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. OBJ was back, but there's a whole thing going on with that. And Jarvis Landry's back. Didn't matter. Also, Chris Boswell pretty much died on the field when he got drilled on that fake kick. So he's out. I don't know how long. I think he has a concussion. They brought in somebody else. But Steelers win, so they're staying alive. The AFC North is quite weird, but who knows? Carson Wentz does what Carson Wentz does, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, that left-handed throw interception. They ended up losing in overtime to the Titans, but the Titans did lose Derrick Henry. Once again, we'll get to that. Mike White, a stud, apparently. Throws for 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, did throw a couple picks. Bengals lose to the Jets 34-31. We'll see Mike White again tomorrow. I'm very excited to see.
The Jets were winning this game, like 14 or 21-3 at some point in the game, and the Bengals came storming back and made it close.
It was 31-20 Bengals with like 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, a little bit more time than that left. So the Bengals did have a lead late.
So maybe it was 14-0, and then
do what they do with Mike White. The Jets did have an early lead. I remember that. Is Mike White like the next Kurt Warner or Tom Brady? I think is the big question, right? I mean, could be. We'll see.
Let's off a little bit.
You never know. You never know. I mean, it'd be the ultimate sports, hilarious sports story if the Jets think their franchise quarterback's a number 2 pick and it ends up being some dude named Mike White. I mean, kind of like Tom Brady.
Let's see if he can not throw 2 picks this week and go 3 consecutive weeks with 2 picks.
The second pick in the game Sunday, he threw too hard, but the other one went off the receiver. Both of them went off of the pass catcher. It's just, he's got to time it up a little bit better. Maybe throw a changeup instead of a fastball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's just see if he can not throw 2 picks.
If they win tomorrow, I'm declaring him the next Tom Brady. So, okay, Patriots, speaking of the Tom Brady, former team, Patriots, they go in and they do what they do, which is apparently own Justin Herbert. They beat him 44-0 last year, and this time they beat him again. They made some plays down the stretch. Adrian Phillips had a pick 6 to pretty much seal the deal. Patriots beat the Chargers. Patriots continue to be the most confusing team ever. Like, they've looked really good. They've looked really bad. The record's okay. They have a rookie quarterback.
The week against the Bucs was probably one of their most televised games. And you can't really say they look good in that game or they look bad. Just that weather made that game so different than if it would have been a fair weather game.
The 3 games where they've actually looked good were the 2 Jets games and this game against the Chargers. They killed the Jets twice, which it's the Jets. But then again, Jets just beat the Bengals. So what the hell is going on? It's the NFL, I guess. I don't know.
That was also the Jets without Mike White as quarterback.
That's true. Mike White, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Let's just act like this game never happened. Broncos beat Washington 17-10. I mean, I couldn't even watch this. Such a stupid, terrible football game.
No, and I had this game picked as Washington +3 thing, and that was a gimme. Von Miller's last game as a Bronco.
Yeah, it was a boring game. I could barely watch it. I honestly, I didn't. I was kind of just looking at the Saints-Bucks game, which the Saints did beat the Bucks. Everyone's like, oh, the Saints own the Bucks with Brady there. It's like, okay, they beat them 3 regular season games. Who won the playoff game? I feel like that's all that should matter at this point. I don't understand that stupid narrative, but
just like I don't understand Devin White's penalty on that tackle when Jameis Winston got hurt. It wasn't a horse collar. He had him below the name tag.
Probably because the officials aren't paying attention, if I had to guess, and it's a quarterback, so
that's kind of outside the pocket. He was running.
I agree. I don't get it either. But Trevor Siemian came in, played well enough to win. Tom Brady throws 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 at the end, which shouldn't be really any concern for Tom.
He just had a couple games this year where he's just thrown errant balls.
Well, I feel like the way their offense runs, it's like most of the time it's really, really well-oiled machine. And then sometimes it just gets a little bit over the top. I think they maybe try to do a little too much. Who was the dude that caught that long-ass touchdown that was wide open? I've never heard of that guy before. Cypress, the hell is his name? I mean, I've never seen that guy in my life.
He didn't even play football in college. He was a track guy at LSU.
Wide the hell open. Jeez.
They literally picked him. They literally put him on the practice squad or something. He's literally a track star. I think he is in like the Olympics as an alternate. And he's just doing
fast,
this. That's why they picked him up. Thought he may be able to return kicks and stuff. But like that last pick Brady threw,
that play worked.
I mean, Godwin, they were on man, had a guy covering Godwin and the safety over the top, and Brady threw it right to the safety.
Yeah, I feel like if any quarterback knows better than to throw that, it's Tom. but that was a really bad throw. But what
I
can
mean,
you
did
do?
I want it?
So
Did I
the
want
Bucks
him
are
to?
what?
Did I want him to keep going after Godwin? Yes, because he's on my fantasy team and I needed some points because of what we talked about before we started recording. The Bucks are now 6-2,
Yep.
both losses to the Saints.
6-2. Yeah, I mean, you could say the Saints own them, but at the end of the day, the team that won the playoff game between the two, which I really needed the Saints to win that game, by the way, in the playoffs. I really needed that to happen because the Packers would be in the Super Bowl, but whatever. Yep. And Jared
And
Cook pretty
they
much
made
ruined the
sure to
Saints
put
season.
him while on the air, Sen and I asking him if he was going to think about making a comeback after Winston got hurt.
Yeah, that's stupid. I feel like Phillip Rivers should be the guy, but I think they're going to stick with Trevor Siemian.
And I think
Taysom Hill.
I think they're trying to rush him back now from his injury.
Yeah. I'd stick with Siemian. He can run that offense. I mean, Michael Thomas is going to be out, but we'll get to that. Cowboys, they win with a backup quarterback, Cooper Rush. Game-winning touchdown to Amari Cooper. They beat the Vikings. The Vikings are atrocious, 20-16 on Sunday Night Football.
Been on the team for 4 years. Parents have been to like every game. They finally get him, watch him start, and get a win in his first game.
It's a good story. And the Vikings,
but they did keep showing his family, like every time he threw the ball, camera on his parents.
I mean, yeah.
Like I get it. You told us a story pregame.
They like to do
during
that.
the game. We don't need to see his parents after every completed pass.
So the Vikings are now 3-4, which means the Packers are 7-1. The Vikings, Bears, and Lions are 6-17. So that division sucks. So if anybody can sustain, a division lead with their quarterback out, it should be the Packers. But who knows at this point, right?
Yeah. And I need the Bears to step up because I had a DraftKings bet for them just to finish with a even or better record for the year.
Are they going to score any points on Monday night against the Steelers? I mean, I feel like that might not happen.
Are either team going to score any points?
I feel like that's a 10-3 ball game right there. Steelers probably win 10-3.
It's probably a field goal game. It's probably going to be like 12-6.
12-9 would be sweet. What about like a 12-11 game with a safety? That'd be pretty fun.
I don't know. It's a 6-point spread game.
Yeah, that seems a little high, but I think I'm going to go with it. We'll see. Chiefs did win an ugly one Monday Night Football. They still don't look good. I feel like they got to wake up at some point. I hope it's not this Sunday, but
no, Mahomes is still throwing bad balls. I wish he wouldn't throw 14 passes to Tyreek Hill because that basically made me lose fantasy. Their back end of their defense has looked bad. I mean,
they got a real test this week.
The Honey Badger is no longer the Honey Badger. That Sorensen guy gets burnt like 3 times a game.
Oh, please tell me Spagnuolo is going to line up Sorensen against Aaron Jones on a wheel route this time, just like he did last time. God, that would be sweet. That's got like 90 yards written all over it.
But can Love put it there?
Hey, he showed some stuff. Okay, I think he can.
I'm just saying. It's a little different. It's a little different with you saying that if Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback compared to Jordan Love.
I feel like Jordan Love's probably going to throw for 500 this Sunday, but we'll see. NFL Week 8 Week Awards, NFC Offensive Player of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week, Special Teams. You had Deebo Samuel for the Niners, Micah Parsons for the Cowboys, and Zane Gonzalez for the Panthers. AFC, Mike White, Offensive Player of the Week, future Hall of Fame quarterback for the Jets. Defensive Player of the Week, Adrian Phillips, and Special Teams Player of the Week, Randy Bullock, the Titans kicker who won the game in overtime. Division leaders, Cowboys, Packers, Bucks, Cardinals, and Rams. In the NFC and the AFC, it's Bills, Ravens, Titans, Raiders there. So let's get to a couple news items here. Before we get to the Von Miller thing, because we'll probably talk about that for a sec, just go through a few things here. Derrick Henry, broken bone in his foot, surgery. He is expected to miss 6 to 10 weeks, could miss the rest of the season, could come back. We don't know. They did sign Adrian Peterson as well. Cardinals QB Kyler Murray has an ankle sprain issue that could have him miss 1 to 3 weeks. And they will play on Sunday against the Niners.
But yet on fantasy, it shows him as questionable, like he could play this week.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one.
Who's even their backup? Is it Colt McCoy?
Oh, man. Is it Brett Hundley? Let me find this out here.
I think it's Colt McCoy.
It might be. Apparently, I just read ESPN 1 hour ago that Murray should be good to go. So he could still get hurt in the game and come out, but as of now, he's going to play, it looks like. And then we had the Chiefs acquire Melvin Ingram from the Steelers for a 2022 sixth-round pick. That clearly wasn't working out for the Chiefs or for the Steelers, the Melvin Ingram experience.
Oh, he came out of college looking good for the Chargers, too.
It is Colt McCoy, by the way. Good call. With Chris Streveler as the third, who's a former Canadian Football League quarterback.
Melvin, he came out of college looking really good for the Chargers, and then it just slowly gotten – I don't know if it's the system he's in or where they're playing him, because in the Chargers he was actually a linebacker, and then they tried to make him an edge rusher.
I mean, he looked good opposite Bosa for a while, but didn't work in Pittsburgh. So, speaking of edge rushers, the Broncos trade Von Miller to the Rams for a 2022 second and 2022 third. Rams are going all in. They have a 5th-round pick and 2 7th-round picks now in this draft. So, if they don't win a Super Bowl, it's going to be pretty embarrassing. And I think this is a good deal for the Broncos. I don't know why people don't think that.
No, and Von was emotional about leaving Denver and everything.
Won a Super Bowl there, franchise icon, one of their best defensive players of all time. Here's the thing.
People are saying he's not that good, but now he gets to go with Aaron Donald and the rest of that.
That'll help him. Yeah, that'll help him. Like Dante Fowler Jr. had 11 sacks when he was playing with Aaron Donald in LA. So I feel like that's going to help him. But the thing is, he is 32. He has 4.5 sacks this season in 7 games. Here's the thing for the Broncos. He wasn't going to come back next season. They weren't going to pay him what he's going to want. So if they can get a 2nd-round pick and a 3rd-round pick for him, I think that's a very good deal, especially mid-season.
And the Broncos are paying nine of his $9.7 million left on his contract this year.
Which I think it's worth it if you're going to get a 2nd and a 3rd out of it.
So the Rams gave up that, and they're only got to pay $700,000.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fair deal, honestly. I think the Broncos made out fine. I don't know why people tend to do this with these types of players. If this was 4 years ago, yeah, it looked terrible.
No,
but
teams that aren't looking very good are like the Saints. Losing Michael Thomas has a setback in his recovery from his foot that he had surgery on.
Yeah, I don't think Michael Thomas is ever going to play for the Saints again.
Now he's out for the season with the setback. First it was only supposed to be a couple weeks, then it became half the season. Now has a setback and is out for the year.
Well, there's the clear truth in all of this. Michael Thomas and Odell Beckham Jr. are not Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins. So,
And then, OBJ excused from practice today. The Browns are discussing his future with his agent.
Seems like he's done for the season and done in Cleveland, it seems like. So, once again, another trade. The Giants, pretty good. They got Jabril Peppers, who's good. They got another pick out of it. So, I don't remember who they took. That might have been the DeAndre Baker pick or the Dexter Lawrence pick. One of the two. DeAndre Baker didn't work out, but Dexter Lawrence is pretty decent.
And then lastly, you have Henry Ruggs going 156 just before he hits a woman, gets a DUI. She passes in it. So you don't know what's going on there. Yeah, he's going to get a DUI, but should that be more than just a DUI?
I think it's going to be a pretty big charge he's going to get. I think he's probably going to face jail time, you would think, even with how much money he has. This is a horrible, horrible story.
Yeah, the guy's 21, 22.
His NFL career's over.
Yeah. When all the upside he had, gone.
Stupid decision. Really stupid decision. Cost somebody their life. I don't know how he survived, to be honest. That's kind of – he's going 156 miles per hour.
Yeah, like the article I read, it didn't say he was doing that when he hit the person. It was moments before. But I'm sure when he hit the person, he was still probably doing close to 100.
Yeah. Terrible story, and he's done. So the Raiders did release him, so he's gone. He'll never play again. Terrible story. But real quick, before we do get into the golf, we did have – I passed over Aaron Rodgers testing positive for COVID-19. Jordan Love will start Sunday at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. This whole thing is very weird because everybody thought Rodgers was vaccinated. Turns out he's not vaccinated. He's going to miss at least 10 days. So the earliest he could return to the roster is next Saturday and then he could play against the Seahawks on Sunday without practicing. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So we can see Jordan Love back-to-back weeks. Good thing for the Packers is that they've stacked up enough wins. They're 7-1 with a comfortable division lead.
Well, and if he didn't practice, he wasn't very long for training camp.
Yep.
So
if anybody is prepared and ready to go, Jordan Love's been sitting there for a long time behind him. So I feel like I'm glad that they actually have a young quarterback. We'll get to showcase him a little bit. You're playing with house money. Nobody really expects you to beat the Chiefs this weekend. It's just a bunch of adversity for the Packers to win the Super Bowl in February. We all know it's going to happen, but we'll see. Should be very interesting to see. This is a stay-away game, I think, on the betting side, even though the line did go from even to 7.5, which I think is crazy. The Chiefs are the kings of not covering. I don't know. And the Packers have still a lot of weapons on offense, and their defense has played well. Who knows if Mahomes will finally wake up? We'll find out, but let's do the golf.
Before we get to golf, I forgot during the NBA, J.J. Redick retires last year, now joins the ESPN team to be a broadcaster.
A legendary player.
I mean, he's had a podcast for years. So
He's selling out for big ESPN.
Well, I'm sure he'll do the podcast still, and he'll get to do it with more people because he'll be around more players and stuff.
That's true.
But yeah, on the golf, we had the Butterfield Bermuda Championship last week. The winner was Lucas Herbert, won $1.2 million, shot 15 under. This weekend, we have the Worldwide Technology Championship at Mayakoba, defending champion Victor Hovland at the El Camaleon Golf Course in Mayakoba, Quintana Roo, Mexico.
So this is an event with a lot more bigger names, a lot of bigger names showing up for this one. So we'll make our picks for that later. Let's go to a stupid NCAA decision in college basketball. Kofi Cockburn suspended 3 games due to selling merchandise in June prior to the NIL being official in July. The NCAA is stupid. I mean, this is ridiculous. Mark Few gets 1 game for what he did, DUI, in the offseason. He'll miss the first 3 games, Jackson State, Arkansas State, Marquette. And now we go from one NCAA.
Yeah, their appeal is denied and are banned from postseason this season.
Stupid. Absurd. And how convenient that it didn't happen last season when they had Cade Cunningham, huh? They didn't do anything to him last season, but now Cade Cunningham's gone, so let's make sure we can get him suspended for an assistant coach who's on the staff 4 or 5 years ago and is long gone from here.
Yeah, and think about all the guys they just had transfer in this year.
Yep.
And then you had Florida's Keontae Johnson is now deciding whether to get cleared to play professionally or to cash in on a $5 million insurance policy from when he collapsed on the court 2 years ago.
I'll take the money if I were him. I don't know. Who knows how he feels about it? We don't know.
Well, who knows if it is too, if he takes that insurance policy, if that means he's not allowed to play.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. I don't know.
I'm sure it's why it's deciding whether to get cleared or to cash in. I'm sure it means if he cashes in on the insurance policy, he's not allowed to play.
Yeah. Interesting to see what he does there. Very talented players. We'll see. But the season does start very soon.
Next Tuesday.
6 days. So we're not going to talk too much about the teams and all that. I feel like it's too broad to kind of break it down all the way, but I will give you a few teams that I do like, some futures real quick here before we get into games of the week, which I don't know. I guess I'll probably just do this for the first week, but we'll obviously highlight a few games each week that are important, especially with the betting picks. We'll start next week. But national championship futures, Purdue plus 1,600. I think Purdue's very good. They're returning almost everybody. Their lineup's going to be the same. Their bench is good. If there was a future for Big Ten Player of the Year, I'd put it on Jaden Ivey, 100%. I like Purdue a lot. And then Arkansas plus 3,000 to win the national championship. All in on that. Must bus, whole thing. They're loaded. Don't care what anybody says. I also think they'll win the SEC, but I do have another SEC future bet, not on Arkansas. And then to win the ACC, Duke, there's no way in hell they're not winning it this year with Coach K's last year. No way in hell they're going to win it. I don't really think there's too much at the top to compete with them at this point. I think there's good teams, but I think that Paolo Banchero, 5-star freshman. I think he is already going to be one of the best players. I think this is a year where the freshmen show back up.
That's what they call him now, so you don't have to go worry about his name. They call him P5.
I like his name, but I will call him P5 from now because it's much easier. Oregon plus 350 to win the Pac-12. The only competition for Oregon in the Pac-12 to win it, I think, is UCLA. I think UCLA is good but slightly overhyped. I trust Dana Altman. I'll take Oregon. So games of the week. Next Tuesday, a lot of nothing games, but also a lot of afternoon games. And for someone who is a college basketball savant, such as myself, I will watch a lot of games. But the big ones are obviously the Champions Classic, Kansas and Michigan State, which I think will be closer than expected. I think Kansas is the better team than Duke and Kentucky. It'll be interesting to see. I still think Duke wins. That'll be an interesting game. And then Alabama, Louisiana Tech is interesting because Louisiana Tech's like a decent team. They're not, low tier in their conference. They're not high tier. They're more in the mid tier, but I think they'll give Alabama a little something. So that's an interesting game to watch out for. Then Wednesday at Buffalo and Michigan. Michigan's a team that's prone to possibly losing a non-conference game that they probably shouldn't lose, aka Oakland last season. They beat them but should have lost. That's a Wednesday game. Thursday, Northern Iowa and Vermont. I'm sure people listening to this are probably thinking, why the hell would I want to watch that? Well, these teams are very evenly matched. There's not much going on that Thursday in college basketball, so why not? Friday and Saturday is where it gets really good in terms of marquee matchups. UCLA Villanova on Friday.
Number 2 versus number 4.
Yeah, that'll be a great game. I'm very interested to see the guard play in that game for both teams. Tiger Campbell, UCLA, Colin Gillespie, Villanova. Richmond, Utah State. Richmond is going to be a top-tier team in the Atlantic 10. Utah State, a middle-of-the-road Mountain West team. Oregon State, Iowa State. Both teams are going to be more in the bottom level of their conferences, but very even in terms of matchups and talent and efficiency. Stanford, Santa Clara, same thing. With those two, Minnesota, Western Kentucky, once again, same thing, except Western Kentucky is more of a higher tier Conference USA team. Minnesota, most people have them finishing the bottom of the Big Ten. And then Oregon, SMU. SMU, solid team. Oregon, like I said, top tier Pac-12. Saturday, 1 versus 5, Gonzaga and Texas. This is one of the best matchups of the non-conference by far. Because
is this a neutral site game or is this at Texas?
I believe it's neutral site, but I'm not 100% sure where it's at. It might be in like Vegas or it might be Mohegan Sun. Let me just double check. I'm very interested to see what Chris Beard, who's obviously the new coach of Texas, who left Texas Tech, I'm very interested to see what he does to guard Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme, because they're going to have two guys underneath in Holmgren and Timme that are just so talented, so elite. I believe it's actually in Spokane, so I think it's a Gonzaga home game. So a little surprising that it's not a neutral site, but there you go. Big test for Texas early in the Beard era. NC State Colgate, once again. Colgate, a higher tier Patriot League team. NC State, lower tier ACC.
Yeah, you never know what you're getting at NC State. Sometimes they're like a surprise team that finishes in the top 4 teams of the ACC, and then the other year they're in the bottom 4.
But they always find a way to beat one of the better ACC teams every season once out of nowhere. That happens a lot. I could see that happening this season. Another game where people are like, are you kidding me? UC Irvine, Boise State. Boise State, I think, is going to be a very interesting team to watch in the Mountain West because I feel like some people are overlooking it. I think some people are underlooking them. UC Irvine, a very good Big West team. So that'll be a good game there. And then Miami, UCF, not much here. I just figured we'd throw it on there. They're pretty even. Sunday, I'm not going to watch much of this because of the football, but I'm interested. Florida State and Florida going head to head. That'll be a fun game there. Florida ranked 20th going into the season. Florida, a solid SEC team. Then South Dakota State, Stephen F. Austin. If you like defense, you'll probably enjoy this game. Monday, Illinois and Marquette. Illinois' final game without Kofi Coburn, ranked number 11, facing a decent Marquette team. First Shaka Smart game, or first test for Shaka Smart, really, at Marquette. Then Wisconsin and Providence. Wisconsin not expected to be very good, but Providence, an interesting Big East team that could get better from last season. And then Tulsa, Oregon State. Tuesday, St. Louis and Memphis. I thought this would be more of a test for Memphis with Javonte Perkins with St. Louis, but he gets hurt. He's out for the season. So now St. Louis going in with a lesser team against a very talented Memphis team who's ranked 12th. Number 25, Virginia versus number 15, Houston. A very interesting game. I don't think Virginia should be ranked, to be honest, in the top 25. but they are. Seton Hall, Michigan. Seton Hall not as good as they have been in the past. Michigan ranked number 6. BYU, Oregon is a very good West Coast game. BYU, one of the higher tier West Coast Conference teams, taking on Oregon. So a lot of good games. We'll see. Lots to happen, I guess.
And then you had the World Series end last night. The Braves beat the Astros 4-2 in the series, and I think it was 7-0 in the game.
Congrats to the Braves. Yeah, dominance. And let the record show, preseason, April 1st, I retweeted this last night. I went 2 for 3 on the World Series. I had the Braves. I had it ending in 6. I just had the Yankees instead of the Astros. So, not bad. Not bad. I'm very surprised the Braves did it without 2 of their 3 best players, though. I will say that. Acuna and Soroka both out, and they still win. That's one of those stories. That's what I kind of hate about baseball, but I also kind of love.
And losing Morton game 1.
Yeah. Like these stupid stories where teams come out of nowhere to win it all is kind of getting old at this point, is it not? The Nationals, the Cardinals did it in 2011. And
the Braves' last World Series win was what, 95?
95, yeah. Which it's not that bad. I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah.
Look at like what the Cubs and the Red Sox streaks were, and the Cardinals had a long one before 2006. I think it was a little shorter than the Braves one, but I don't know. I'm just kind of sick of the story. It's it happens so much now.
I was glad that it wasn't the Dodgers and it wasn't the Astros.
I agree, even though I do kind of like chaos. I kind of like people being mad about that stuff, but it is what it is. Congrats to the Braves. Freddie Freeman gets a ring. Very nice there, no doubt. Quick NHL stuff. Vegas and Buffalo still talking Jack Eichel. Calgary also in the mix, I believe, which if you're Vegas, do you really want to trade for an injured player when you already have a billion injuries? Pacioretty, Carlson, and Stone are all out, which are probably 3 of their 4 best forwards already out. Do you want to trade for Eichel and have him on IR as well? I mean, Vegas is going to be focused on getting healthy. So that's why if I think this gets done, it's going to be Calgary that gets him. And they could be really dangerous if they have him in the playoffs and they make the playoffs. They're off to a good enough start, but we'll see. The Rangers extend reigning Norris winner Adam Fox, who for my money right now, probably the best defenseman in the league if you look at the metrics and everything that he does. 7 years, $9.5 million per. Hilarious because he's getting paid the same amount as Seth Jones, and he's way better than Seth Jones. Panthers named Andrew Burnett their interim head coach as Joel Quenneville resigns amid the Blackhawks scandal. There he goes. Kevin Cheveldayoff, who's the Winnipeg Jets GM, who is the assistant GM for Chicago at the time, he remains there for some reason. And people also calling for Bettman's head. So the mess continues in the NHL. The leadership at the top has no clue what they're doing in the NHL. Congrats to them.
Yeah. And on to college football, where you have the new AP Top 25. Georgia, Cincinnati, Alabama, Oklahoma stay at the top 4. Michigan State jumps 3 to number 5. Ohio State drops 1 to number 6 after beating Penn State at home. Oregon stays at 7. Notre Dame goes up 3 to 8. Michigan minus 3 to 9. Wake Forest up 3 to 10. Oklahoma State up 4 to 11. Auburn up 6 to 12. A&M up 1 to 13. Baylor up 2 to 14. Ole Miss drops 5 to 15. UTSA up 7 to number 16. They're like the new Coastal Carolina. How far will they climb? BYU up 8 to number 17. Kentucky drops 6 to 18. Iowa drops 10 to 19. Houston is a 20 after being not unranked. Coastal Carolina up 3 to 21. Penn State drops 2 to 22. SMU drops 4 to 23. Louisiana is at 24 after being not ranked. And Fresno State is at 25 for being not ranked. And then now we have the college football rankings, or college football playoff rankings. You have Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, and Oregon, which takes away Cincinnati and Oklahoma out of the top 4. And number 5 is Ohio State, and 6 is Cincinnati.
Lot of controversy. A lot of controversy with this. So a lot of people are mad that an undefeated Cincinnati is not ranked in the top 4, but I understand it because it's like their schedule is bad and they're not looking that good against these bad teams.
No.
I feel like that's fair. And look at what Michigan State has done. Oregon got completely screwed when they lost to Stanford, and their win over Ohio State at Ohio State without their best player holds a lot of weight, shockingly. So I'm not
Everyone's mad that Michigan State's above Ohio State, even though Michigan State hasn't lost.
And they just beat Michigan. I mean, Michigan, How good are they? Michigan ahead of Oklahoma is also a little confusing, which I believe Michigan's number 7, Oklahoma's number 8. Oklahoma hasn't lost either.
No, and they're sitting at 4 in the AP, and then they dropped 4 spots on the college football playoff rankings.
I feel like a lot of this, especially this year more than any, it feels like, has been based off of the eye test. Cincinnati hasn't looked very good. They get bumped back. Oklahoma hasn't looked very good. They get bumped back. Michigan State's looked very good at times. Oregon's looked very good at times.
Well, Oklahoma's the quarterback controversy there with Spencer Rattler and everything.
Yep. They've looked good, though, with Caleb Williams at quarterback for sure. I don't know. If I had to guess, I think the Final Four is going to end up being Georgia and Alabama, because I think Alabama is going to find a way to beat Georgia in the SEC championship. I think, even though I think Georgia has the greatest defense I've ever seen in college football, Georgia has given up like 52 points this season, which is absurd. 52 points in 32 quarters. They're giving up 6 points per game. Ridiculous defense. I think Ohio State's going to find a way, as they always do, and I think Oregon controls their own destiny. If Oregon can win out, they will be in.
Does Ohio State play Michigan State before the end of the year?
If they don't play, they'll play in the championship. So I don't know, actually. I feel like Ohio State kind of has a bit of an easy schedule for me. I mean, Ohio State still has to go through Michigan, but I feel like they always do. So why not? Ohio State has Nebraska this week. Purdue, they do play Michigan State on November 20th. So Michigan State and Michigan back-to-back weeks. So Ohio State still has a couple tests left. I didn't think they did. That'll be interesting to see, but I still think they're going to find a way, as they always do.
It'd be nice to see some different teams up in that.
It would, but clearly they don't respect Cincinnati at all. So Cincinnati's going to need Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan State, maybe Alabama to all fall for them to have a chance. Because you can tell the committee doesn't like them. I don't necessarily disagree with them for having them at 6. They don't look good. They barely got past Navy. They barely got past Tulane.
I like Michigan State where they're at. I think they're above Ohio State.
Michigan State's got to be the best team with a terrible quarterback. Their quarterback's not good. It's all Kenneth Walker, who's probably going to win Heisman, who's an absolute stud at running back. And Oregon, Anthony Brown's not that good of a quarterback either, but it is what it is. You got Bryce Young, and honestly, Georgia, they got Stetson Bennett starting, not very good either. But
no, Oregon just has to finish the year out tough. Which, I mean, this week they have to go to Washington and play.
Yeah, I think that game, as Jeff Schwartz, who's a former offensive lineman who went to Oregon and analyzes Pac-12 football, he said pretty much it's going to be really hard for Oregon to lose that game. They're going to have some stupid turnovers or something, because Oregon in the trenches, offensive and defensive line, is so much better than Washington. So I feel like it's going to be hard for Oregon to lose that. If they do, then they're done. But Oregon is a team that should be undefeated. I mean, Stanford got a ticky-tack pass interference call that would have ended the game, but it's besides the point, I suppose. Let's do the picks, where I went 6-15 last week, which puts me at 173 and 163 for the year. So I went from 19 over to 10 over 500. Not good.
I'm 8-13 at 173 and 169.
Well, we'll see how it goes. College basketball is going to be an interesting, number when we approach that. However we do that, the MLB season is now over, so I guess we can replace what we did with the MLB with college basketball starting next Wednesday, and we'll go from there. Let's start with the golf, the Mayakoba Golf Classic. 3 picks to win, 1 to finish top 5, 1 to finish top 10. Go ahead.
I got Victor Hovland at plus 1,600, Tony Finau at plus 2,000, and Scotty Scheffler at plus 2,500 to win. Justin Thomas to finish top 5 at plus 300, and Brooks Koepka at plus 250 to finish top 10.
All right, I'm taking Koepka, Scheffler, and Zalatoris to win. That is plus 2,500 for Koepka and Scheffler, plus 4,500 for Zalatoris. Justin Thomas to finish top 5, plus 300. Abraham Answer, plus 170 to finish top 10. Let's do NBA picks tonight. 2 picks. What do you got?
I got the Celtics -6 over the Magic and the Warriors -6 over the Hornets.
I'll do a little New York action here. Give me the Knicks plus 1.5 at the Pacers and the Nets -4.5 against the Hawks. Doubling up on New York basketball. They better not let me down. NHL picks for tomorrow.
I got Florida minus 150 over the Capitals and the Islanders minus 140 over the Canadians.
I also like the Islanders minus 140 against the Canadians, and I'll take a big favorite, even though I don't think Detroit's that bad. I'll take your Bruins minus 235 against the Red Wings, even though it does feel like the Red Wings kind of own the Bruins recently.
I was
like
gonna pick that game, but I keep picking the Bruins.
Yeah,
and it's such a big number too. I need to mix it up.
I don't disagree with that. I never picked the Bruins, so there you go. College football, we have Power 5 conference games, and I guess we start in the ACC. So
yeah, I got NC State at Florida State. I got NC State minus 2.5.
I have Clemson minus 4 at Louisville. So Clemson, they've looked terrible all season. Why not finally show up and win a game?
I don't know how that spread is only 4.
Clemson stinks.
Big 12, I got Oklahoma State at West Virginia. Oklahoma State minus 3.5.
I will do TCU versus Baylor at Baylor. TCU plus 7. Usually when a team fires their coach or parts ways, which TCU did with Gary Patterson, they show up the next week and do something. So I'll take them plus the touchdown against Baylor. Big 10.
Which Lincoln Riley just got upset about these firings mid-season.
Especially with a guy like Patterson who's been there forever.
About what it does to the league or NCAA as a whole, to the conference and to the schools.
I don't disagree with him there.
Big 10, I have Ohio State at Nebraska. I got Ohio State minus 14.5. I think this is going to be a little chalkboard inspiration for them not being in the college football playoff top 4. So I think they're going to come out and try making a statement against Nebraska.
I agree. Ohio State minus 14.5. I'll take that in the Big 10. Pac-12.
USC at Arizona State. I have USC plus 8.5.
All right, we'll go head to head. I'll take Arizona State, who looked horrendous last week, minus 8.5. Bounce back spot. Give me the Sun Devils. Give me Herm Edwards. Here we go.
SEC, Tennessee at Kentucky. I got Kentucky at an even game.
We're really riding the same wave here. I'm also taking Kentucky with that number. So, yeah, they looked bad last week as well.
And then our 3 primetime games we have number 3 Michigan State at Purdue. I have Michigan State minus 3.
I also like Michigan State minus 3. They look good. You got to wonder if their ranking maybe get to their head a little bit. I don't think it will. I think Mel Tucker knows what he's doing, has the pulse of his team. Give me the Spartans minus 3 at Purdue.
And then number 13 Auburn at number 14 Texas A&M. I'm taking A&M minus 4.5.
I'll take Auburn plus the 4.5.
And then lastly, we have number 4 Oregon at Washington. I got Oregon minus 7.
Yeah, I'll take the Ducks as well. Like I said, dominating in the trenches. I think they win this game. A couple touchdowns, I'll say. Let's do the NFL. Thursday Night Football, Jets, Colts. Who do you like?
I'm taking the Jets plus 10.5.
I am too. Feels like one of those spots where everyone's kind of all over them, and how I said Mike White's going to be future Hall of Famer, which he will be. But
the Colts just haven't looked that good either, and to beat them by 10.5. I
feel like it's a lot of points for a 3-6 team going against, or 3-5 team going against a 2-6 team.
And then Sunday Night Football, we got the Titans at Rams. I'm taking the Rams minus 7.5.
I got a weird feeling about this game. I don't know if the Titans will win, but I think they'll cover. I think there's a lot going on. Everyone's like, oh, they're not going to be good without Derrick Henry. I think they'll find a way to keep this game close. And the Rams have a tendency to let teams back in. Like, they were up 38-0 on the Texans and gave up 22 unanswered. So, yeah. I don't know. They have a little bit of trouble putting teams away.
And you'll have Von Miller there.
And who knows how quickly he'll show up and play well.
But even if he doesn't play well, he's going to draw attention.
Yeah, he will. And the Titans' offensive line's a little suspect. They get hurt, too.
And then Monday Night Football, we have the Bears at Steelers. I'm taking the Steelers minus 6.
Yeah, I'll take that as well. I mean, It's hard for me to take the Steelers with that number with how bad they've looked a lot this season, but the Bears just look worse. And this is like a classic Bears primetime getting destroyed.
Like, I thought they'd use Najee Harris so much more like they did with Le'Veon Bell, but
their line sucks. That's the problem.
Yeah, them losing Villanueva and then I can't think of the center's name. The brothers both retiring. Yeah, the Pouncey brothers both retiring.
Yeah, their line's terrible. All right, 5 picks for Sunday.
I got Denver at Dallas. I got Dallas -9. Vikings at Baltimore. I got Baltimore -6. Patriots at Panthers. I got the Patriots -3.5. Chargers at Eagles. I got the Chargers -2. And the Browns at the Bengals. I got the Bengals -2.5.
All right, we got a couple similar ones here. I've decided that with how bad my NFL record's been this season, I am not going to pick terrible teams anymore, which I don't consider the Jets to be that terrible. They're pretty bad, though. But for the Sunday game specifically, I'm not going to pick any terrible teams. Cowboys -9 against the Broncos. I will take that. Falcons, they're not terrible, but they're not good. +5.5 at the Saints. I think something weird is going to happen with this game, divisional game. I'll take the Cardinals -1.5 at the Niners. I think that's a very nice number for the Cardinals who are looking to bounce back. Chargers -2 at the Eagles. I will take. And the Bills -14.5 at the terrible Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a very hard game.
Seeing that Cardinals one, I didn't know because of the Kyler Murray question mark. So that's why I didn't go after that game.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until we started, so I just went with it.
If I did, I don't know what game I would have replaced. Either the Denver-Dallas game or the Browns-Bengals game is what I would have replaced that game with.
All right, before we get out of here, I have my footy picks, soccer picks. I'm hot on those. 12-5-1 overall.
What did you do last week?
This week, keeping it. Last week, 5-2. I missed on Bielefeld Mainz to draw. That was a 2-1 game, so that didn't work for me. Then Atletico Madrid sucks. I don't know how they didn't beat Levante or however the F you say that. I don't even know. But this week, keeping it simple, Europa League, I will take West Ham once again, +100 to beat Genk. Once again, they beat them a couple weeks ago. I'll also take Leicester City -310 to beat Spartak Moscow. Easy money. League One, I'm always going to ride PSG -310 against Bordeaux. La Liga, Real Madrid -260 against Vallecano. And Premier League, Saturday and Sunday, Man City versus Man U. I will take that +310 to draw. Chelsea's hot. I'll continue to ride with them -400 against Burnley. Pulisic's back. You better watch out. Tottenham has struggled. They're going to get back on track here. +160 against Everton. And then Liverpool is a wagon right now, -155 against West Ham. So, well, I'll probably stay hot. I win all those. But by the way, I did hit last week on Columbus Crew +425 against DC United. They
no MLS picks this week?
Pick that was. No MLS? No. Did that last week. So, what can you do? All right. What was this, number 36? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Number 36 is over. We'll be back number 37 next week. I'm sure there'll be some other stupid, insane stuff that happens in the NFL. We'll cover all that and a lot more. College basketball will start. So we'll be in full throttle. Really, next week is kind of when everything's going to be going on, except for baseball, which baseball kind of sucks now, let's be honest. All right, next week we'll see you for number 37.